So my mind is kind of like a complex place to be at. But yeah, see, I figured out something that you only need two two major like cheat codes in this life to to navigate this life. You only need two major cheat codes to navigate this life. The ability to learn programming and also pattern recognition. You just need those two things because you see this life is all about programming. It's all about so many things, but like programming and pattern recognition, you have to master those two things. And I don't know how long this video is going to be. I don't want to come and sound weird to you guys, but you know, these are the things that go on in my mind. Like this is just my mind talking. I don't know what I am right now, but like programming, and these words are not just random. These words are not just random because even in the Bible it says, "Train up a child in the way he should grow, I mean in the way it should go, and then when he grows, he's not going to depart from it." Something like that. I'm not trying to like maybe today is Sunday, but I'm not trying to like preach the word of God, but it's also in the Bible. And that phrase, that sentence, because it means something, that sentence is all about programming. Like the life we live today, like it's all about programming. Sometimes we want to do something, like we have plans, we want to do something, but then we are lazy. We can't, for example, now to shoot, to record, to post content. You want to post content. You see other people posting almost similar content. You want to do it, but you don't want to do it. Maybe you're just programmed to be scared, to have fear, to think of what are like, to think of opinions, basically just scared. Most of these things are like programming. Like it's the way we were programmed from small, from growing up. We were programmed, we were trained, and most times like it was most times it was intentional, and some other times it wasn't like really intentional. But growing up, the environment we really find ourselves, and that's why we are like different people, because we come from different backgrounds. And from where we find ourselves, like growing up, those environments, they have like they shape us. Yes, they do. They shape our life. And how our present now, the manifestation of our presence was shaped by our past, like by growing up. And that is programming. We were programmed to be this person today. You understand? So in order to like transition from one state to another, in order to be this person, because if you can think of this version of you that is doing this, that is creating content, that is building a business, that is learning a skill for yourself, if you can imagine this for yourself, it means you want to do it. It means there's a version of you that wants to do it. That it means there's a version of you that is already doing it. So if you can imagine something like that, it means your current version is capable of doing it. But if you ever find yourself that okay, doing these things are hard and you really want to do it, you have to unlearn. You have to go through a phase where you unlearn those bad habits, those things keeping you behind or stopping you from, transitioning from one state to another. You have to unlearn, and it is not simple. It is easy, but like it is not simple. Like you have to go through a phase where you unlearn some bad habits, some things, and you can't unlearn all of them. Like you have to like pick out the major ones that are like stopping you from moving from one place to another. and then leave them behind. You have to unlearn those things. And I'm not going to mention them because, like I said earlier, we come from like different backgrounds. You know deep down what is stopping you from doing a particular thing. You know deep down, so you check yourself. You know, stop doing those things, and then you watch yourself transition from one place to another. And then the second one, the second cheat code, which is pattern recognition. See, this life is all about pattern, and I can't stress this thing enough because I've had this discussion with my friend weeks ago, I think like a month ago or something like that. But pattern recognition, if you master the ability to recognize patterns in your life, bro, like that's like the major cheat code. Because see, history always repeats itself. See, that's like the greatest like thing to say, or that's the greatest thing that relates to pattern recognition, because history always repeats itself. Circle of life. Thank you. Circle of life. Like, you see this water we drink. You see this water we drink, or the you see this water we drink. When we drink this water, we it does something to our body. But see, I don't want to bore you, but just the circle of life. There are really no new things happening in this world. Oh. Forget the trends, forget every other thing that doesn't really concern the natural order of things. But like, there are no really new things. You see, when you wake up the next day, the sun sets. I mean, the sun rises in the morning, it sets in the evening. When you wake up the next day, it happens on a daily basis, the circle of life. When it's time for like raining season, rain falls. When it's time for like, the dry season, because this side, we know it's raining and dry season. But, the circle of life, like the circle of life. Monday, you go through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The next week again, you still go through the same thing. See, you have to recognize the pattern. You see, this world is built on pattern. You see, this universe is built on pattern recognition. You have to understand that pattern in your own life. Like, you have to understand that pattern in your life. For me, I know, still learning. Like, I know I've like cracked, or I know some pattern in my life. I know very well. And I don't really know about any other person. But if you come, you talk to me, I'll be able to like, okay, dissect, okay, this is your pattern or something like that. Again, we all come from different backgrounds, so it's different. But you have to sit down with yourself. You have to embrace like your like solitude, like being alone. You have to embrace that moment in your life, and then think about your pattern. Recognize things that repeat itself, because there are things that like happen. There are things that repeat itself over like and over again in your life, trying to teach you some lessons or stuff like that. And then by the time you start picking up those lessons, you notice that like you're transitioning from like one state to another. And believe me, this thing is not like easy, but like you just have to master them. The first one is programming, and then the second one is pattern recognition, and those two work hand in hand. Because if you sit down and you start understanding the pattern in your life, you can program yourself to get like you can program yourself. Like, when you notice that, okay, there's a certain period in my life where things are like good, and then there's a certain period in my life where things are not good, you start thinking of how to override the program. Not override the program, but you start thinking of how to cheat. Like, you're not cheating life, oh, and you're not cheating the system, but like you start knowing what to do in those moments. You start knowing what to do in those moments. You start fixing yourself. You start preparing yourself, because those opportunities, those things, see, history will always repeat itself until you learn. So once you recognize that pattern, you start positioning yourself for those things to come. Like, because this opportunity is going to come. This is meant for you. And then you start preparing yourself for that opportunity because you know it's going to come. You know this period is like your downtime period where you're preparing. You're not relaxing. You're not doom scrolling. You're not like you're not doom scrolling. You're not relaxing. You're not being sad that things are not going your way. You understand that this is your pattern. So you're in that phase where things are not going your way. You're trying as much as possible to build, to prepare for the opportunities, so that when those opportunities come, you grab them because you've noticed the pattern, you've seen the pattern. You grab those opportunities, and then boom, you transition from that state to another state. So you find yourself moving from like this position to a higher position, and then that's how you move from one stage to another. And people that trade the forex market, people that trade the crypto market, do understand this thing, because when you're reading the charts, it's all pattern. The reason why you place a trade, like the reason why you pick a trade, it is pattern. It's because you've spent so much time watching the charts, so you know when to buy and you know when to sell. It is all pattern. See, you can apply this thing to almost every aspect of life, and it's to just click. Because see, ask any trader, like ask any forex trader, they will tell you that, see, it is pattern. It's not even like an extraordinary thing to do. Like just being able to sit, looking at the charts, being able to sit, looking at the charts, you know when to buy, you know when to sell, you spot opportunities. That is recognizing pattern. And same thing applies to life. Sit down, look at your pattern, know when things are good, know when, and then prepare yourself. You know when to grab opportunities, you know when to relax, you know when to build yourself. Like you just know. Like, and it applies to so many aspects of life, and this thing is broad. Maybe I'm going to do a part of like, talking about this, but like this is broad. You can apply this to like so many areas of your life, and you notice that it makes, sense. And then the programming aspect of it is where like, your discipline comes in. See, all these discipline, they are just like consistency. They are just, but when you notice this thing, programming yourself becomes easy, because you know that if you don't program yourself, you're the one doing yourself. Like, that's why I don't even believe in like, oh, start pointing fingers, start saying, oh, it is going to go like this person they do me, now your fault, for my own life. No. See, 99% of the times, like we are the cause of like almost everything happening in our life. Like we are the cause, like we are. So you have to sit down and sit down, learn that pattern, and then program yourself. Learn the pattern and then start programming yourself. You notice like, a shift from being this person, and then you start being this other person. You just notice that transition, and it's much more easier for you to start being disciplined, to start being consistent. Those things will come, like those things will come. Those things like it will come. So yeah, I thought about this while I was, having my bath, and I said, I'm going to make a video. I'm not even going to Google anything. I'm not going to make a research. Nothing. There's no scripts to this. I just picked up my phone, hit record, and I don't know, this might sound crazy and boring to, so many people, but like these are just thoughts that go into my head whenever I'm like calm, whenever I'm not talking. Like these are thoughts that go into my head. So, it's I know now. On a day where peace.